President Obama last night asked Congress to postpone a vote that would authorize the use of force in Syria, and all of it amounting to even more confusion in the nation's capital. Joining us now to sort out much of what is going on is a man at the center of it all. We are joined by Congressman Bob Goodlatte, chairman of the House Judiciary Committee. Congressman, great to have you with us. And let's begin with the president's speech last night. Your reaction to what was a little more than 15 minutes of national television airtime to the American people.
Well, first of all, I had the opportunity first to hear from my constituents who were overwhelmingly opposed. Of the more than 2,000 people who contacted my office through telephone calls, emails, 95% were opposed to the United States taking action, military action in Syria. I had the night before been briefed by Secretary of State Kerry, Secretary of Defense Hagel, and other top defense and intelligence people, and had the opportunity to listen to members of Congress ask a multitude of questions about how this would happen and what the impact would be and what the ramifications of it would be. And I had already determined that afternoon that, and said so publicly, that I would not be able to support the resolution that the President was seeking, the one that had passed out of a Senate committee. So when I listened to the President, I was listening to it from the perspective of whether he could make any additional case. He makes a strong case that Syria should not be using chemical weapons. It's absolutely abhorrent that they've done that, but not a strong case that we can stop Syria in the manner that he talked about doing, or avoid other consequences of the action. So I was pleased, and I think it was wise on his part at the end of his speech to say that he was going to ask the Congress to postpone votes on that resolution as he explored with the Russians and I guess indirectly the Syrians, whether they are serious about the proposal they put forward with the Russians to turn these chemical weapons over to an international body, a third party. If that indeed takes place, that would be a good resolution of part of the problems that exist in Syria. And I think he knew that probably in the Senate, but definitely in the House, he was going to face an overwhelming bipartisan vote against his resolution. So I think he made the right decision. He also, I want to say at the outset, after talking about acting unilaterally, did the right thing, I think under pressure from the public, from the Congress, from Democrats in the Congress, and seeing what happened in the British Parliament, made the right decision to come to the Congress, not just to consult, but to seek authorization. I think he's required to do that under the law. He did not do that with Libya. I do not think that was the right way to handle that situation. And I think that this circumstance, he did two things right, but we still haven't figured out the right way to solve this problem, and it is not, in my opinion, firing cruise missiles or using drones to attack targets in Syria. We don't know that that would have any impact on the chemical weapons.
Mr. Chairman, your reaction to the speech itself, have you ever seen a spectacle quite like a president standing before cameras asking Congress to approve and to support his desire to strike a sovereign nation unilaterally, and at the same time call for a delay in a vote for the authority that he had sought at the outset? It was, your thoughts?
Well, it was schizophrenic in that regard, because clearly he wants to impress upon the American people the seriousness of the problem. But it was also apparent to me that he and his administration did not have a coherent plan that people could look at it and say, yes, this is an achievable objective. We know what we're going to do. We know when we do it, it's going to have a positive result, and we know how we're going to extract ourselves, and we know there are not going to be serious ramifications for ourselves or a whole host of other groups concerned about what might happen here. Christians in Syria, neighboring countries, and so on. So from that standpoint, I don't think it served him well. But I am, as I say, pleased that he made the wise decision at the end to back away from asking for that vote, and hopefully he will find another way to solve this problem than to take military action.
Yeah, the president's saying that we are not, declaring in his speech that we are not the world's policeman. And I have to say to you that I found that the brightest moment of the speech. Having said that, then he seeks to be the world's policeman, this time in Syria. Previously, as you alluded to, Libya, to Egypt, wherever it may be. This president is not apparently aware of the constraints on power, and particularly the greatest constraints are American values, are they not?
Well, they are. One of the concerns you have, if you're going to fire cruise missiles into a country that you have not been involved with militarily, any military conflict is going to involve likely collateral damage. Innocent civilians are likely to be killed. In this case, he's taking the action because of the concern about the use of chemical weapons, a legitimate concern where innocent children and others were killed, almost certainly by the Assad regime. And then if we fired a cruise missile in and it killed children or other civilians, and we're saying we're doing that as a response to what they did to try to prevent them from taking these kind of actions in the future, I think it sends a very wrong message and it has dangerous consequences. Also, in the past, Presidents Bush and President Clinton, they sought congressional approval, but they also had a large world coalition behind their efforts when they undertook military action. Here he has a small band of folks who are happy to step back and say, you go in and do it, and we'll quietly applaud your doing it. But by the way, there were very few who were actually willing to put their own troops and their own equipment and dollars on the line.
Thank you, Congressman Bob Goodlatte. We'll have much more with Congressman Goodlatte on tomorrow's edition of Lou Dobbs Tonight. We'll be talking about the upcoming budget battles, his plans for immigration reform. The House of Representatives and Chairman Goodlatte are leading now on the issue of immigration reform. And please take a check.